Discover the hidden truth about cruise tipping that could change your voyage forever. There's a saying among cruise ship crew: you can always spot the kindest passengers by how they tip. One cabin steward once told me, quietly over coffee, that the $40 tip he got from a guest on day 2 wasn't just generous, it paid for his daughter's school shoes back in the Philippines. He never forgot that guest's name. Now, crew members will never say this publicly. They're trained to smile, serve, and never make guests feel uncomfortable. They won't ask for tips. They won't beg. And they definitely won't tell you what those extra dollars really mean. But behind the scenes, tipping is a lifeline. Yet so many passengers don't understand how it actually works on modern cruises. Some think the auto-gratuity covers everything. Others worry tipping feels forced. And a few genuinely want to help, but don't know how much, when, or to whom. Today, we're pulling back the curtain. Not to guilt you, not to shame anyone, but to shed light on what the crew can't say out loud. From daily service charges to cash handshakes, from who gets what to when it really counts. This video is your insider's guide to tipping in 2025. Because understanding tipping isn't just about money. It's about respect. And when done right, it turns a good cruise into a great one for everyone on board. Let's dive into the truth about cruise tipping. Most cruise lines today automatically add a daily service charge to your onboard account. You've probably seen it listed as a gratuity fee or crew appreciation charge, usually between $14 and $20 per person per day. It sounds simple. One fee, everyone's covered, right? Not exactly. Here's the part cruise lines don't really explain. That charge gets split, sometimes unevenly, across many departments. Housekeeping, dining, behind-the-scenes crew, sometimes even front desk or bar staff. And the way it's divided varies wildly between cruise lines. Some lines pool all tips together. Others break them up by department. In a few cases, the money even goes toward bonuses or to offset salaries, not directly into individual crew paychecks. And while that system is designed to keep things fair, it also means that extraordinary personal service often gets buried in the pool. Your cabin steward who remembered your name on day 1, your waiter who brought your kid's favorite juice without asking, that personal connection gets lost in the general split. And crew members can't talk about this openly. They can't tell you they only see a portion, or that a personal envelope of $10 or $20 means more to them than 3 days of pool gratuities. One senior crew member explained it like this: "We appreciate the automatic tips, absolutely, but we feel the personal ones. That's what tells us we made an impact. So should you opt out of the auto gratuity and tip individually?" Most cruise lines discourage that, and for good reason. The system helps support back-of-house staff you never meet. But if you want to recognize outstanding service, keep the auto tips and offer something personal. A kind word, a handwritten note, a little extra cash. Because in this system, auto gratuities are the baseline. Real gratitude goes above that. For many cruise guests, tipping is a polite gesture, a thank you, a tradition. But for the crew, it's survival. Cruise ship salaries vary widely. Some roles are salaried. Others depend heavily on tips to reach even a livable wage. Most crew members, especially those in housekeeping and dining, rely on those gratuities not just to get by, but to send money home. And the reality is sobering. Crew work 10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, for contracts that can last 6 to 9 months without a single day off. They live far from home. They often miss birthdays, holidays, and first steps. And many of them are doing it to support families back in countries like the Philippines, Indonesia, India, or Ukraine. I've heard stories of tips going toward a sibling's school tuition, a father's surgery, rent for an entire household. Sometimes, even toward helping crew members start small businesses when they return home. This is why extra cash matters so much. You don't need to give hundreds. A simple $5 bill with a thank you note can turn someone's day around. A $20 tip at the end of the week? That could cover an entire week of groceries for their family. And yes, it's awkward. No one wants to feel like they're paying for smiles. But that's not what this is. This is about recognizing extraordinary effort in a system where hard work doesn't always translate to higher pay. One Redditor wrote, "We tipped our steward $10 on day one and suddenly got towel animals every night, and our ice bucket was always full. We didn't expect it, it just happened." Tips like that aren't bribes. They're signs of appreciation, and they encourage the best crew members to stay in those roles longer. So if you got a bit of extra cash and you notice someone going the extra mile, say thank you with words and with a little green. Cruise gratuities feel like numbers, daily fees, pooled systems, percentages on drink receipts. But you know what stands out? Personal tips. The kind handed over with eye contact and a smile. The kind that says, "You made a difference." Time and time again, crew members talk about those tips, the ones that feel sincere, direct, and deeply appreciated. You'd be surprised how much even a small gesture means when it comes from the heart. A handwritten note with a folded $10 bill. A child who drew a picture and handed it to their waiter with a tip tucked inside. These moments stick. Reddit is full of stories from both sides. Passengers who tipped their cabin steward $20 on day one and got top-tier service for the entire cruise. Or crew members who remember guests not by stateroom number, but by the kindness they showed at the end of the sailing. And here's a tip within a tip. The earlier you tip, the more it counts. A small upfront tip on day 1 or 2 often gets you more attentive, personalized service for the entire trip. It shows you respect the crew, and you're not waiting until the last night to show it. So yes, tipping at the end is great, but tipping early? That's next-level cruise wisdom. Whether it's $5 or $50, if you give it directly and with gratitude, it's remembered. And in a job where so much effort goes unnoticed, that memory lasts long after the ship docks. Let's clear up a common myth. Not every crew member you tip is allowed to keep it. Some passengers are shocked to learn that in certain roles, especially in bars or specialty dining venues, tips may be pooled, tracked, or even counted as part of a larger bonus system. And on some luxury or semi-inclusive lines, crew salaries are set higher, but they're not allowed to accept cash at all. That tip envelope you hand off might be politely declined or passed along to a fund instead of directly to the person who served you. This isn't always about fairness. Sometimes it's about the line's internal policies meant to maintain consistency across departments. One cruise line might let bartenders pocket every dollar you hand them. Another might collect all drink tips at the end of the night and divide them evenly across a bar team of 20. It gets even trickier in the spa. That gratuity you add to your massage, it may go into a shared pot rather than directly to your therapist. But here's the key. Even when it's pooled, tips still matter. Crew notice who gives, who takes the time, who shows appreciation. And when in doubt, ask discreetly. A simple, "Are you allowed to accept tips?" is perfectly respectful. If they say yes, great. If not, a kind word, a thank you note, or even a compliment to a supervisor can go a long way. Some guests even drop off notes at guest services calling out exceptional crew by name. These get filed and reviewed by managers and can influence promotions, contracts, and future assignments. So yes, tipping matters, but how you tip and making sure it gets to the right person matters even more. When you give with thoughtfulness and respect, your appreciation will never go unnoticed. Tipping isn't just for dining room staff or your cabin steward. Anytime a crew member goes out of their way to make your cruise better, that's a moment worth recognizing. Let's talk about a few common and often overlooked situations where a little extra gratuity goes a long way. Room service. Most lines offer it free or for a small fee. But if someone delivers your food late at night or brings multiple trays with a smile, $1 to $5 shows real appreciation. Bartenders and sommeliers. If you frequent the same bar or wine lounge and get great service, a $10 tip on your last day, or $1 to $2 per drink, is a game changer. They'll remember you, and the service will often reflect that. Butlers and concierge staff. On higher-end cruises, personal butlers or concierge crew often go above and beyond, arranging surprises, reserving shows, managing requests. For that kind of attention, tipping $20 to $50 is standard and well-deserved. Childcare crew. If you're cruising with kids and someone makes your child feel safe, happy, or entertained all cruise long. Tip them. A grateful parent's thanks means more than gold. What all these roles have in common is this: they involve choice. The crew isn't just checking boxes, they're giving a little more of themselves to make your experience special. So whether it's an extra dessert, a surprise anniversary setup, or simply remembering your name day after day, if it made your cruise better, tip the person who made it happen. Let's get one thing straight. Tipping isn't a bribe. It's not about buying special treatment, skipping the line, or getting better service than anyone else. In fact, if you treat it that way, slipping cash into a hand with a wink and a demand, you're doing it wrong. Most crew members will still be polite, but that kind of energy puts them in an uncomfortable spot. The real reason to tip? Respect, recognition, gratitude. When you tip with no strings attached, just because someone made your vacation smoother, brighter, or more personal, that gesture means something. It builds a relationship. And here's the beautiful irony. Those guests often do get better service. Not because they paid for it, but because the crew wants to give it. Because they feel appreciated, seen, valued. It's no different than back home. You're more likely to go the extra mile for someone who's kind, generous, and understanding than for someone who treats you like hired help. And here's something the crew will tell you. They remember the nice ones, the thoughtful ones, the ones who say thank you with more than just words. So don't tip because you want an upgrade. Tip because someone earned it. And if that extra attention comes your way, that's just karma. Let's talk specifics. One of the most common questions cruise passengers ask is, how much should I tip? And to whom? So here's a breakdown of suggested tip amount for 2025 based on cruise line norms, crew feedback, and what seasoned cruisers typically give. Cabin steward/room attendant, $2 to $5 per person per day. Handed in person at the end of the cruise, or half at the start for extra attention. Dining room wait staff, $10 to $20 total at the end of the cruise, especially if you had assigned seating or built a rapport with the same waiter. Sommeliers/bar staff, $1 to $2 per drink, or $10 to $20 total if they've served you regularly. A tip on the first day can lead to faster service all week. Butler or concierge, if applicable, $20 to $50, depending on the level of service. If they handled special requests, restaurant bookings, or private events, go higher. Room service staff, $1 to $3 per delivery. Even if room service is free, the delivery is still a personal touch worth tipping. Entertainment or excursion staff, not usually tipped unless they did something above and beyond private tours, personal help. If so, $5 to $10 is a nice gesture. Kids club or childcare staff, $10 to $20 at the end if they help take care of your kids regularly. Especially appreciated if your child formed a bond with someone. Of course, you don't have to tip every role directly. Many are covered by auto-gratuities. But if someone made your experience exceptional, recognize it. Cash is always appreciated, but even a kind word or a handwritten note can brighten a crew member's day. Bottom line, tip what feels right for the service you received. When in doubt, a little extra is rarely regretted. Timing matters. So, when's the best moment to tip on a cruise? Most people wait until the very last night of the trip. That's perfectly fine, and in many cases expected. But here's a pro tip most first-time cruisers don't know. Tipping early or midway through the cruise can actually enhance your experience. Giving your cabin steward a small tip on day one shows that you value them right from the start. A bartender who gets a little extra early on may remember your drink preferences by day 2. A waiter who sees that tip midweek is more likely to prioritize your table with genuine warmth. It's not about buying favors. It's about setting the tone. You're saying, I appreciate you and I notice what you do. And at the end of the cruise, you can still tip again, especially if the service continued to exceed expectations. So don't feel locked into waiting until the final night. If someone impresses you on day 2, say thanks then. Gratitude doesn't have to wait. Tipping on a cruise isn't always clear-cut. The systems are different. The rules can feel confusing. And the crew? They'll never pressure you or even hint that you should give more. But behind the scenes, every envelope counts. Every kind word, every thank you note, every extra $5 bill slipped into a palm with a smile. It all adds up. Because at the end of the day, these are real people, far from home, working long hours, often supporting entire families with what they earn at sea. So here's the truth. You don't have to tip extravagantly. You just have to notice, appreciate, and when you can, give something back. Tipping isn't about money. It's about human connection. If this video helped clear up some of the mystery around cruise tipping, hit that like button, subscribe for more insider cruise advice, and share your thoughts below. Have you ever had a crew member who made your trip unforgettable? How did you thank them? Until next time, tip kindly, cruise smart, and make someone's day.